All right. Good morning, everyone. So good to see your smiling faces this morning. We have a fantastic program lined up for today. I can't help myself. I get giddy when this thing comes around. I've only been able to participate a handful of times, but each time it seems like I get more inspired and more energized for the coming months ahead, COVID even considering. So let's jump into this. I want to start off today giving time to David to open us up and also to introduce our first speaker. So David, opening remarks, if you've got some.
Great, thanks Dale. I like
Sure.
the tie, by the way. Good job. Way to start a Saturday off, looking sharp. Well, first I want to thank you all for taking time out. Many of you were on the medical forum call last night, so it seems like we've just gotten together and here we are again. And I think that like me, you probably really enjoyed the remarks by Sinead and are glad that she's joined our advisory board and adds her level of expertise and experience to help us accomplish the goals that we have in terms of not only improving our own lives, but being able to improve the lives of others. Active school is really great. I think that the time spent here is actually more valuable than what you could do with so-called professionals that are out there providing information. And the reason for that is that everyone on this call is right there where the rubber hits the road. You can relate to each other, your triumphs and your disaster. And as Rudyard Kipling said, if you can treat both those imposters the same, you'll be onto something. So one of my favorite poems, by the way, is called If by Rudyard Kipling. If you ever want to be inspired, go ahead and review that. You probably had to look at it in high school at one point or another, but it's worth a review. I'm really excited about today's cast of characters. Oh, not characters, I meant presenters. And but they are kind of great characters as well. Whether it be Karen to start us off, Susanna or Admiral Winter, we're going to be well fed today. Karen's going to be our first speaker. And I've known Karen now for, wow, I guess about 3 years or so. Well, probably, I guess, going closer to 5 years, really, if I think about it. She joined as an investor of not only this company, but a previous company with her husband, Ed. They were fresh off a great triumph of building and basically building from scratch a telecommunications company that went on to great things and sold it and were involved in a number of other activities. They are, of course, our connection to Admiral Winter. And so we don't just get new distributors as a result of everyone's referrals, but we get referrals to our advisory board. And in fact, I think every one of our advisory board members, maybe with the exception of one or two, have actually been referrals from distributors. And it's great. Sometimes people look at Karen and might think, oh, wow, there's a person who's got everything going for her. She's pretty, she's smart, she's articulate, she married a great guy in Ed, she's got great kids and all this type of stuff, and indeed she has a lot going for her. But like everyone else, she's had her challenges, and everything hasn't always gone 100% swimmingly and perfectly. And so I've really respected the resilience and the toughness that underneath that bubbly exterior, there's some real steel there, and not in a negative way, but in a firmness of sticking to what she really wants to accomplish in life and bringing others along the way. In fact, speaking of that, the things that they don't talk about, that I found out through indirect sources, are some of the tremendous, really wonderful charitable things that they've done, just not in a showy way, but a way that they've really affected the lives of certain families and individuals by their generosity and their willingness to open up their hearts and their homes to other people. And so on that note, we're gonna jump off first with Karen Toth. Karen, we know that you're bubbling with wisdom and can't wait to share it with us today. So the floor is now yours.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. Thank you so much for that wonderful introduction. My name is Karen Toth, and I'm here today to talk with you about the power of follow-ups. Before we get into my presentation, though, I have a few questions for you. Question number 1. What are the 4 stages of a distributor customer recruiting process? Does anyone know? That's right. The 4 stages are prospecting, presenting, closing, and follow-up. Question number 2. I bet you didn't know there was going to be a test on this, huh? It's not a test, just trying to set the basics. So question number 2. How many of these 4 stages would you say are that you are good at? Or maybe you consider even great at? Is it 1, 2, or maybe 3? Well, that's awesome. Well done. You are well on your way to be a good ACTIVZ distributor and leader. However, if you want to be a top ACTIVZ distributor and leader, you are going to want to master all 4 stages of the process. And mastering all of the stages will maximize your recruiting efforts while efficiently using your time and energy. All right, last question. Which stage do you think is consistently the stage that most distributors don't do?
Too speedy.
This stage may be the one of the most critical stages in the recruiting process and in your recruiting success. Did you say follow-up? Did you know that answer, or did you just guess? Because that is the title of the session, right? The power of follow-up? Well, either way, you are correct. Unfortunately, over 90% of the time, follow-up is the weakest link in the recruiting process. So with that being said, let's dive into this presentation. Today's training is on the power of follow-ups. My goal with this discussion is to show you that you are not reaching out to your prospects more than once, then you're wasting your valuable time, energy, and money. And who wants that? None of us. We all want to be efficient and effective distributors. Okay, I've got 2 things I got to tell you before we get started actually diving in, which is going to be the meat of this discussion. First, let's talk about the golden rule of recruiting. The golden rule states it will usually take at least 5 or more follow-ups to get a prospect to say yes. And guess what? I have the numbers to prove that. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. Second, do you know what a follow-up is? It's probably important for all of us to know what a follow-up is. A follow-up is what you do after your initial pitch to encourage the prospective distributor or customer to take action. Follow-ups can be conducted in a number of different ways. The most common methods are the telephone and by email. We will talk about additional ways to follow up a little later. So, one more question. Why doesn't a prospect say yes on the very first contact? You and I both know that ACTIVZ is the best company in the world and we have the greatest products ever. Why don't they? They should. At least that's what we think they should know. However, here is what the prospect is actually thinking. I don't know you well enough to know if I can trust you. We only buy from people we trust. However, trust is not easy to come by these days, and we often underestimate the challenge of gaining someone's confidence. Prospects have all been burned before. Haven't you? I know I have. And they've been burned by empty promises and defective products. Due to these past experiences, it's an uphill battle to gain their trust. There are many things a prospect is trying to answer in their own head about you. Is he or she telling me the truth? Is he or she knowledgeable about this subject? Does he or she care about me? Or is she or he just pushing ACTIVZ to make money off of me? The list can go on and on. Getting past these is no easy feat. There's a difference between getting a customer to make a sale and making a sale to get a customer. Building credibility, authority, expertise, and ultimately trust takes time and patience, but it's worth it. A trusting relationship will result in adding more business partners and customers to your ACTIVZ team. Another thing they may say, I don't understand what you are saying or offering. If you introduce ACTIVZ too aggressively and attempt to close too early, the prospect inevitably won't understand what ACTIVZ is about, how our business and products can benefit them, and how you can and will help them be successful. There is something known as the curse of knowledge. This is the dilemma we face when we're so familiar with our own products and services that we can't imagine someone not fully understanding it as we do. Our assumption really leads us astray. You should not and cannot presume knowledge and understanding on your prospect's behalf. This leads to a confused prospect. And a confused prospect does what? Absolutely nothing. However, there is an easy fix to this issue. Be more patient. Take as much time and as many follow-ups as needed to get the prospect knowledgeable and comfortable with you and ACTIVZ. It's all about the information and the relationship that you give and build with your prospect. Number 3, the prospect may say, I'm short on money right now. It's not the right time. Well, Robert Kiyosaki points out in an article that people with employee mindsets concentrate much more on their resources, whereas in an entrepreneur, they concentrate more on the opportunity. Said another way, employees concentrate on what will go wrong, and entrepreneurs focus on what could go right. An employee-type mindset will focus on what money they have in their account currently versus how great the opportunity is and ways that they might be able to come up with the money. Now, in our business business opportunity is unique in that, unlike a franchise, the cost of $30,000 to $300,000, you can get into our business and our business opportunity for a few $100s. But you will still have to fight the employee mindset of people who want to say no just because they can't see themselves having the extra money to spend on auto ships or any of our upfront costs. You'll notice that this is an interesting paradigm in these type of people. Why? Because most of these people really need the opportunity, but are unable to see it. Number 4, I have done this type of business before and I've had a horrible experience. Well, pretty much most of us can say that, right? Most of us have had a poorly trained MLM business owner trick us, annoy us, chase us, beg us to look at their network marketing business opportunity. A lot of people that have been approached this way think this is the only way to promote our type of business opportunity. However, in reality, there are very few people on this planet who want to trick and hound their family and friends and new contacts into looking at an opportunity. That method is so outdated, so inefficient, and it simply doesn't work. If you are approaching the majority of the people that have been sleazed on, you'll have to be prepared to tell and show how your approach is not one that chases, begs, and bugs. You have to prove to them that you and ACTIVZ are different, that we care about them, we do what we say we're going to do, and we are a company of integrity. Number 5, I am not a salesperson. I can't do this. Well, what they're really saying to you is that they don't believe in themselves or herself to follow through and be successful. Here's a simple example. I have a friend who needed to lose some weight. The P90X, which is a really efficient exercise program, was recommended to him by numerous people who had lost weight following that program. He 100% believes in the product and that it would work for them, or work for him, but he doesn't trust himself to follow the workout routine. The most powerful way to overcome this is to have powerful testimonials that match closely with the prospect's objection. You have to be his cheerleader. You have to channel your Tony Robbins and convince the prospect that they can do this at this time and their past not need to control their future. They have to believe in themselves because you believe in them. You as an active distributor, with the help of all of our active team, all of our distributors, and all of our corporate team, are the only people who can help us prospect overcome their own objections. Your purpose is to educate your prospects about the ACTIVZ opportunity and our products and help them come to a decision to join our team. So, how many touches do you think, or how many follow-ups do you think it will take to get a prospect to commit? Well, the answer to that question is, it depends. Timing is everything. I don't care if you're talking about the economy, business, dating, or hitting a baseball. If the timing isn't right, nothing else matters. If the timing isn't right, it doesn't matter how great the ACTIVZ business opportunity or our products are, a prospect isn't going to join your ACTIVZ team or buy your products. The follow-up process is all about keeping ACTIVZ in the front of the mind of the person when the prospect becomes in need of our business opportunity and or our products. This is especially the case in our recruiting process where time and circumstances dictate almost everything. I can't tell you the number of occasions I've had a prospect that has told me they weren't interested in the business opportunity and said that they would never do direct sales, only to have them come back some 6 months later because something changed in their life. Maybe it was a divorce, a death, a job transfer, COVID-19, but it all comes back to their circumstances changing. They may not have a need the day that I first reached out to them, but something can change tomorrow, next week, or next year to change their situation. You need to continually reach out and touch base with your leads, prospects, and customers to establish and maintain relationships. Simply put, you have to keep ACTIVZ in the forefront of their mind for when their need arises. So I have found, as stated in the Golden Rule, that the vast majority of my success comes from the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th touch. Rarely, and I do mean rarely, does it only require one touch to start the conversation, let alone convert the opportunity into a sign-up. National stats support these findings. Per the numbers, and we all know the numbers don't lie, 80% of all sales and all closes occur after at least 5+ follow-ups. Yes, 5. Only 2% of sales and closures occur only after 1 reach out. Yes, only 2. Wow, what a huge variance in success rates. What made the difference is that the distributor went the extra mile and did follow-ups with the prospect. If you can think of a recruiting process as your opportunity to educate prospects about the ACTIVZ business plan, and of course our wonderful products, you will go the extra mile and the effort to help them realize that ACTIVZ can positively change their life in ways they can't even imagine. You will make the time, no matter how long it takes, to provide them with all they need to make a decision to join your team. And on the reverse side, since you know that follow-ups make such a huge difference between 2% to 80% close rate, if you are stuck in your ways, which popped into my head an ostrich with his head stuck in the sand, and you don't implement any kind of follow-up, you're going to lose big. I mean huge. You lose the opportunity to change someone's life. You miss out on building new relationships that result in new distributors and customers. You absolutely waste any energy, any time, and any money that you have put into that prospect. And you eliminate the chance for both you and your prospect to gain time and financial freedom through a great business opportunity. To me, that's a lot to lose. All right then, no more lectures. Have I proven to you the importance of follow-up? Well, now let's see how many of you are actually doing follow-ups. Ouch! Study shows that most distributors give up on a prospect after just the first contact attempt. Over 44%. They especially stop reaching out if their initial email or phone call is ignored. Only 8%. Yes, you heard me right. Only 8% of all distributors to continue to follow up with a prospect more than 5 times. And what was the magic number to start seeing the 80% rate of success that we spoke of earlier? Yep, it was 5 or more times that someone needs to be touched. You know what that means, right? That means that 80% of the sales occurring after 40 touches are only being made by 8% of the salespeople who consistently do follow-up. Are you one of them? How do you measure up, and how does your team measure up? Since follow-ups are so very, very important to the success of our businesses, why don't we just do this simple and easy stage from the get-go? Well, here are the top 5 reasons why we don't reach out to a prospect after our first initial contact. 1, hey, we don't want to appear too pushy. It may be true that following up too frequently will come across as being too pushy. However, very few distributors ever come close to crossing that line. In fact, one of the few times that I can remember that someone was too pushy, or what I consider to be pushy, really wasn't on his timeliness. It was because of his tone, rather than the fact he was actually following up. As a professional, I believe it is our responsibility to keep following up with our prospects until we know for certain if they want to do business with us. However, I also strongly believe that we can cross that line by making too many calls in a short period of time. You want to try to make your 5 to 8 touches within 30 to 45 days. A weekly person-to-person call is more than enough to keep in touch, providing you are making your call short and to the point. You don't want to waste your prospect's time by droning on and on. And you want to provide value doing each and every follow-up call. How do you add additional touches? Well, throw in some thank you notes. Invite them to a meeting. Add an article or some type of information regarding one of our products. You can meet your number of touches within the optimal time frame if you are creative in how you touch them. Number 2. Oh, I just forgot to follow up. I know that sounds funny, but it can be very easy to forget considering how busy we are. We may have every intention of calling our prospects, but we get caught up in our business or other obligations. Unexpected problems crop up. We find ourselves spending more time in meetings and stuck in traffic. Well, not so much now, obviously, with COVID, but you know what I mean. And because we didn't schedule the follow-up, it doesn't get done. This is a common dilemma, but one that can be avoided by considering the follow-up like a scheduled appointment. As a matter of fact, if you strive to secure a scheduled follow-up from one touch to another, make it a habit to place the appointment on your calendar. You will greatly increase your follow-up success. Number 3, we make false assumptions as distributors. I once submitted a package of ACTIVZ information to a prospect and told him I would follow up on a certain day and time. Unfortunately, I got extremely sick that particular day, and it was several days before I recuperated. I then wrestled with myself whether or not I should call him or just let him be. I was concerned he would question why I didn't call his schedule. In the end, I picked up the phone and called him, and a simple apology was enough to rectify the situation and move on in the recruiting process. When someone doesn't immediately return our phone call or email message, we usually assume the worst, even if this assumption is not verified. I have learned from experience that a lack of response can often be attributed to the fact that the other person is just too busy to respond or doesn't have an answer for us. Don't let that stop you from following up with them. They might just need a little tickle from you. Number 4, we think that the prospect will contact us. I really think this is one of the most common myths distributors fall prey to. We think that we do a good job, the prospect will automatically call us back. We don't need to follow up. Unfortunately, we cannot rely on this if we want to achieve our team goals. People get busy. They forget or procrastinate, and the more time that slips by, the less important ACTIVZ products and business opportunity may be to that prospective distributor. I'll give you an example. Who here has seen Lisa Dearman's testimony? Lisa is the beautiful woman who has talked about our Link product and how Link has changed her life forever. She talks about how she was in a diaper for over 7 years, and the only relief she found was from taking Link. After 4 days of taking Link, she was out of a diaper and wearing normal clothes. She said it changed her life forever. Well, what she didn't say in her testimony is that even after she had such a tremendous life-changing event by getting out of her diaper from taking our wonderful product Link, she didn't contact me after she found out that she was running out of my Link sample. She ended up starting to wearing a diaper again because she felt bad about reaching out to me to either A, get more product, or B, bothering me with her issues versus knowing that I was probably too busy to talk to her. So it took me reaching back out to her to get the whole story and help her get on her auto ship and for her to become her own distributor, our own distributor. And something you need to know, Lisa and I have been great friends for over 15 years. So this wasn't a stranger that I had reached out to. So never assume a prospect will contact you. Lastly, and number 5, we've just never been taught to follow up. Many distributors have never received formal recruiting training and have not learned the why and how of following up. We are going to change this for you today. This is actually really an easy remedy, and we're going to talk more about this in a few minutes. But before we do that, let's take a quick stop and review what we've learned. A, the more touches or follow-ups you have with someone, the greater the chance he or she will join you in ACTIVZ. It takes 5 or more touches for you to get 80% of your yeses. Only 8% of distributors are doing follow-ups. So only 8% of distributors are getting their 80% of their yeses. And by following up, you are there when your prospect is ready and in need to start their journey with ACTIVZ. Okay, does everybody understand that? All right, let's move on. How do we as distributors start and implement follow-ups? Well, the first thing we all need to do is create our own follow-up strategy. A follow-up strategy is what? Let's give you the definition. The definition of a follow-up strategy is a planned series of communications to establish a relationship with a prospect. The purpose of follow-up strategy is for a distributor to have a recruiting process that can be learned and can be done consistently in order to provide a uniform approach for converting leads or prospects. So I'm going to give you, and here's a diagram of a few suggestions on how you can build your personal and effective follow-up strategy. First, you want to identify the prospect's interest. The journey to understand your prospect's interests is never ending, but gaining insight and a better understanding of consumers and the consumer behavior is important to keep up with your industry and to stay ahead of your competitors. ACTIVZ is always looking for new ways to predict their target distributor and customer behaviors. You should do the same. Start by segmenting your prospects based on who's talking about what, who's following along and interacting with you, who needs to supplement their income, and who trusts and shows purchasing intent in the products like ours. Once segmented, figure out what topics that your prospects are interested in. By doing this, you discover some incredible insights about your prospects, and it helps you learn how to target them to help them make big decisions in joining this awesome company. Number 2, create a prospect directory. You really can't market ACTIVZ unless you actually know who you want to market ACTIVZ to. I know we all want to connect with everyone, but that just isn't feasible or wise. Building a prospect directory is about identifying the right prospects for you, for your ACTIVZ team. And you're going to do this by looking at the unique set of services and products that ACTIVZ have and how they connect with the people you interact with. And then you're going to choose the people who you think best connect with you and your personality. Remember, it's all about relationships. People like to join people that they connect with. Creating a prospect directory is one of the most effective ways to avoid becoming overwhelmed and to stay focused on end goals. You become more organized in your efforts and business management when you're working from a prospect directory. Your prospect directory need not be something fancy. In fact, a basic spreadsheet, like an Excel spreadsheet, keep your ideas and thoughts organized all in one place will do the job. If you have no idea who your ideal prospects are, then it's time for you to start creating an ideal prospect profile. Now, we're not going to go into that. That's another training module. Next step, plan a roadmap to connect with the prospect on a schedule. You've built a prospect list and have an awesome prospect directory in place. Now you can build a relationship with these prospects and start introducing ACTIVZ. Analyze your current relationship status with each of these prospects. Do they know who you are? Have you connected with them in the past? What are the various possible ways to cultivate relationships with them? You're going to want to identify at least 3 actionable ways in which you can cultivate a relationship with each of these prospects, and then create a scheduled timeline for the communications to begin, to be sent, and to follow up. Then stick to that timeline. Next, create a follow-up sequence to engage and establish connections. Having a follow-up strategy is essential to building trust and relationships with your prospects, but you have to know what kind of strategy is right for you. Sending emails is one of the most common ways to follow up, but is often overused. Because of this, use email follow-up in conjunction with specified cadence to avoid having your emails get caught up in those ugly spam filters. The most personalized approach, the better the chances are for your success. Send your prospects hand-signed letters, for example. When your prospect sees your name on their phone, it helps to build awareness, so make the call. Invite them to a webinar. Let them hear you speak. People often regard speakers as authorities on their subjects. By doing this, you get a chance to meet them in person, via Zoom or whatever platform, and establish yourself as a knowledgeable leader at the same time. LinkedIn and similar social media channels also change the way business is done. You can now identify prospects that may be second or third degree connections alongside shared connections from your industry, your previous firms, your previous colleges, and this gives you a great excuse to reach out. Why? Because you have something in common before you even start talking about ACTIVZ. There are many other channels to get on a prospect's radar. Some are loaded with heavy traffic, while others are others are an open road to your destination. Whichever you choose, just get on the road. Number 5, record prospect responses from email and phone calls and update it in your prospect directory or database. Maintaining a healthy record of communication is essential to any good business. When it comes to finding suitable prospects, your prospecting records are a treasure trove of information. They can help you quickly identify and meet your prospects' needs, making the most of every prospect interaction. The prospecting database will allow you to classify people as leads or prospects. Assign priority rankings to prospects and leads that will help you avoid sending repeated information to these people. A good prospect directory and database systems stores information like the date and time of the contact, how the contact was made, whether by website, phone, email, the content of your written correspondence, summary of verbal interaction, and results of the contact. This information can be used to schedule future contacts and help target follow-ups to secure recruiting success. With accurate data, you can assess the effectiveness of your past campaigns and easily predict the future behavior of your prospects. Number 6, maintain an email cadence and call schedule follow-up. You obviously want to get in touch with your prospect as soon as possible. This means calling them multiple times in a short period of time, right? Unfortunately, no. During this can make you look desperate and annoying. So how else do you get in touch with them and without putting them out? Very simple. Create a follow-up schedule and stick to it. The schedule may differ based on the type of product and services you are selling, whether it's our products or a business opportunity, and that will tell you how to follow up. If you haven't got any responses from your phone calls, your emails, don't give up. Simply wait for a day or two and reach out again. This time you will have to focus more on offering a different solution to a problem that our products and our business opportunity solves. Still no response? Well, wait another 2 days and then reach out to them again. Your third message will restate that you've tried contacting them twice before. In this follow-up, you can send relevant materials from a blog or article that effectively addresses a problem you think they're facing. Make it very clear. You're always available to schedule a call, speak about their goals, and share your expertise. Next, evaluate the life cycle to learn the effectiveness of your communication. A high-quality prospect experience is made a high-quality prospect interactions. The goal of providing the best prospect experience in our industry should be considered a competitive advantage, which you should keep at the forefront of your mind. You should consistently focus on creating a positive prospect response at every touch point. Attempting to measure customer experience with only a single metric, only one reach out, can often turn out to be an overly simplistic and ineffective approach. Measuring and managing a portfolio of metrics, considering the 5 or more touches we all want to do, can provide valuable insights into what is working and what is not in your follow-up strategy. Note, not all touches are the same. Some interactions might matter more than others. By measuring each touch point independently, it is easy to determine its contribution to the overall effectiveness, as well as more successfully measuring the entire prospect's experience. Lastly, repeat and recreate the process that works. Here's the thing, if you don't effectively communicate with prospects, you're going to get stuck in an endless cycle of passive relationship growth without ever making much progress. At some point along the way, you'll need to sell yourself and promote ACTIVZ. Remember, there are 4 stages in the recruiting process: prospect, present, close, and follow-up. Many times you will present and attempt to close several times during your follow-up stage. Always remember, it is essential to be persistent without becoming that annoying MLM rep. If you schedule your touches, try different avenues of communication, and commit to investing in the relationship, you will get a response without coming off as irritating. Repeat and recreate these best practices to follow up with each and every one of your prospects, and you will maximize your recruiting effort. As I just said, if you schedule your touches, try different avenues of communication and commit to investing in the relationship. Here is a short list. It's definitely not all inclusive of different ways you can reach out and touch someone. Make a phone call, an email, text, messenger, LinkedIn, social media, handwritten note, virtual postcard, quiz funnel, newsletter, and there are so many more. So be creative. The more personal, real, and creative you are with your touches, the better and more professional your impression will be on your prospect. As I mentioned earlier, time is everything, and when it comes to follow-up, it is essential to know how quickly or not so quickly you should follow up with your prospect. I've put a few basic numbers together to give you a high-level idea of your follow-up timing. So, from secure lead to initial reach out, if you do it within 5 minutes of getting the prospect contact information, you have 9 times greater chance of converting the lead into a good prospect. Your first to 8 touches should be done within the first 30 to 45 days of the first encounter with the prospect, while you and ACTIVZ are still fresh in their mind. After the first 30 to 45 days, and all 5 to 8 touches are complete, start spreading touches out bi-weekly or monthly, and make sure that they add value to the relationship or discussion. This prevents you from becoming the annoying distributor. It's good to know that 30 to 50% of all distributor enrollments are secured by the first person that introduced them to ACTIVZ. Like I said, it's all about the relationship you build with your prospect. Okay, time to take another little breather. Have I overwhelmed you today? I hope not. I wanted to give you enough information to convince you that you need to master the follow-up. It's too important and really quite simple stage that adds volumes to your team's bottom line. If you do feel overwhelmed, don't be. Let me give you the basics that you can start today, and then you can add more as you develop your follow-up strategy. Make a list of 5 potential prospects that you would like to follow up with today. Before making contact, bullet point a list of how you think ACTIVZ can help each of them. Make contact and book a meeting. If they can't now, proactively schedule future contacts. Never leave a call or meeting without planning a future connection. Set up a spreadsheet detailing information about your follow-up contact. Book a few minutes a week for you to review and modify your own spreadsheet and information. Keep doing this and you will be well on your way to increasing your number of team members. Now, you may be asking, how long do I have to keep following up with someone who doesn't show any signs of committing? Well, there's an old joke, but it really is quite relevant. You follow up until 1, they die, 2, they move on without any forwarding contact information, 3, they send you a cease and desist letter, or 4, which I really prefer, they join us in ACTIVZ. As the legendary business building coach John C. Maxwell once said, diligent follow-up and follow-through will set you apart from the crowd and will communicate excellence. Well, that's about all I have for you for this session. I hope you found some useful nuggets of information in this material. As I end this presentation, I want to leave you with just a few words of wisdom. In doing your recruiting process, always be yourself. Prospects join with those they connect with. They're looking for their tribe. It's all about them and not about you. Listen to what they have to say and respond appropriately. No canned speeches, please. Number 3, all follow-ups should have a purpose and add value to building a relationship between you and your prospects. Do what you say and say what you do. Respect their time, concerns, and lack of knowledge. Get to know them. You are there to help and educate, not to sell. If they say no, it's okay. Move on. But continue to touch them unless they tell you, do not contact me. Send them something of value every 3 to 6 months. You never know when their circumstances may change. Last but definitely not least, and it is so true in our ACTIVZ business, the fortune is in the follow-up. Thank you so much, and I hope this was helpful.
That was excellent. I can see a lot of people showing their support, either applause or through sign language applause. Everyone just go ahead, let her hear it, let her see it. That was fantastic stuff. Thank you, everyone, and thank you so much, Karen, for sharing your thoughts with us. That was fantastic. I know that I was definitely fed with that. I've been taking notes. I also took screenshots. I kind of cheated because I'm trying to go back and forth with a couple little note things here, but I did take some screenshots. I will be studying that and applying that in my techniques. Cool. I'm ready for our next speaker. I know that we've taken a nice little breather now that we've come out of that. We're ready to go. I'm ready to go. If you guys are ready, I'm going to dive into our next speaker, Susana Gutierrez. She's an A8, and her goal is to hit A12 this year. She's from Torreon, Mexico, northern Mexico, the same city as Claudia Valdez. She's the mother of 3 daughters who look just like her. She's got a very close relationship with her parents, who always attend her meetings and cheer her on whenever she presents. She's one of our founding pioneers in the company, and she joined before the pre-launch in Mexico. She's not who she appears to be either. She's a wild and crazy girl who has learned to take risks and leads with her heart. She knows when to break and when to keep rules. She pushes her own boundaries, constantly gets out of her comfort zone, and never misses a party or a chance to kick up her heels and travel with her friends. She believes in the pursuit of one's purpose as the path to happiness and fulfillment. She enjoys helping others find their purpose and reach their goals. It's in that spirit of stepping out of her comfort zone that I want to just add at the last, that she's stepping out of her comfort zone now as she presents to us in English, her second language. Everyone give a big silent applause to Susana Gutierrez, A8.
Good morning, everyone. This is Susana Gutierrez from Mexico. I'm very, very happy to be with you this morning, but I have to confess, I'm also very nervous. Okay, English is my second language. I'll try to do my best so I can really express what I want to share with you today, okay? Why handling objections? And this is very important. I choose this topic because I think objections are one of the challenges that we face every day. Every day as we are prospecting, we are facing a series of questions and objections, okay? So I want to share with you some things that are working for me, okay? And some things that I stopped doing because they don't work for me. First of all, I want to share some general concepts with you, okay, about objections. The first thing is to always have in mind that prospecting is a process. It's not an event, okay? Don't think that because you share a video and that person watched the video, he or she is going to sign up immediately with you. That's not true. It doesn't happen, okay? It's a process in which we have to know the person, to talk to the person, to give the information and help them do their best choice, okay? Most of us developed a mechanism, a defense mechanism, which is to say next. But we have to be patient. If we understand that prospecting is a process, okay, we are not going to spend much time with people, but we're not walking away too fast either, okay? We have to give enough information so they can make their best decision. Because if you just say next and next and next, when they don't have a decision at that time, maybe you will lose, or maybe you will walk away from great people, from great leaders. So again, be patient, okay? You have to go through this process. Maybe they're not ready to build a business, but that's our job, okay? We have to help them. We have to give enough information for them to decide whether they're interested or not, whether they want to just to try the products or if they want to do the business with you, okay? At some point, we all have questions. Even we all have questions. But a skilled person, in this case, we have to be that skilled person to help them overcome objections. And how can we be a skilled person? Okay, getting prepared, knowing your products, knowing about the industry, knowing the compensation plan. So you'll be prepared to answer every single question that they have, okay? And in any case that you don't know the question, it's okay. It doesn't matter, okay? You can say, well, I don't have an answer for that, but I know where to look for that, okay? Or I'm going to call my sponsor, I'm going to call my friend, and I'm sure she or he can help us with that answer. Our job, okay, is to help them overcome objections. So number one, remember every time, don't walk away too fast from people, okay? Number two, understand our job. This is very, very important. Remember, it's not about you. It's about your prospect. It's not about a wonderful product that we have. It's not about the best compensation plan that we have. It's about them. It's about their lives. It's about their future, okay? So we're going to help blind people to see what we really have. And that's our job. So once again, we have to be prepared to answer those questions. We have to help them to really see what we have. That is amazing, of course, okay? We are kind of educating ignorant people because most of the people, at least people with whom I share with, they don't really know nothing about this industry. They have just heard some news, okay, or some experiences, generally bad experiences. So we have to educate them. Again, we have to be prepared for that. We have to have the information to share with them, okay? And take every experience as a learning experience. There are no good experiences or no bad experiences, okay? Just learning experiences. If we learn to listen to that person in front of you instead of giving and giving and giving so much information, if we learn to listen to them, we are going to learn a lot, okay? And that's why I call them learning experiences, okay? We can learn a lot from that person. Even they decide to do or not to do the business, we can learn a lot from them. Now, what are questions and objections? And I want you to realize how many questions, how many objections have you heard, okay? And what are they? What is people trying to tell us with that question or with that objection? They don't mean negative, okay? Questions are not bad. Objections are not bad. They just want to tell us something else than the question or the objection itself, okay? Sometimes people just want to sound smart, okay? Imagine, for example, if you're talking about the ingredients in our products, okay? And that person is listening to you. And when you finish explaining about the products, about the ingredients, they ask you something about the product, okay? Maybe they don't know anything about that, but they want to sound smart, okay? And maybe you will know the answer, maybe you won't, okay? But you can say, okay, I don't know, I don't have an answer for that, but I'm going to look for the answer, okay? And I'll call you back. Maybe they need clarification. That means more information. And that's why they're asking a question, or that's why they're giving you an objection, okay? But it's not the objection itself. It's that they need more information about that you're sharing with them, okay? Maybe they're trying to understand, okay? This is new for them, as it was new for me and for you, okay? I didn't know anything about epigenetics or NRF2 or butyric acid, okay? So maybe they just need more information. They're trying to understand what you're sharing to them, okay? And maybe they have limiting belief, okay? I had many limiting beliefs because of my education, because of what my parents taught me, okay? So I needed time to understand. I needed time to realize what I really wanted about my life, okay? So questions and objections can also be just a reflex, okay? Imagine when you go to the doctor and he or she hits your knee, okay? You move your knee just as a reflex. That might happen too. People just react to what you're saying to them, okay? And that's when the question or the objections comes. Expect, don't project, okay? And this refers to that time when you know something about that person, and before you've started sharing the information, you have decided for them. For example, okay, if you're meeting your cousin, your friend, your relative, okay, and you start your conversation saying, well, I know you have a great job, okay, well, I know you're always busy. Don't do that. Don't project. Just listen, okay, and expect those questions and objections from that person, okay? Expect questions and objections, but don't project them. Wait for them to talk about that, okay? And act surprised, as if you've never heard that before. If you're talking to that person and that person says, well, I don't have time, I'm always busy, okay? Just act surprised. Really? Are you always busy? Okay. And because what they are really saying, okay, is something else. It's not the question, it's not the objection. Okay. Maybe you haven't shown enough information to justify that objection. Maybe you need to give more information that will justify time, money, I don't know many people, etc. Okay? So just wait, just listen. If we learn to listen more than what we speak, okay, that would be great. I think that all objections are reduced into two great objections, okay? And I assume you will agree with me. The objection that refers to limiting belief about ourselves or themselves, and objections that relate to limiting belief about network marketing, okay? And I just have here some examples. I think they're the most common examples related to limiting beliefs to ourselves, about ourselves or about themselves, is when we say, I don't have money, I don't have time, I don't like sales, I don't know many people, I don't like to speak, okay? Those are some examples. But all of them refer to ourselves or to themselves, your prospects, okay? And those other objections like it's a pyramid, only top people make money, it doesn't work, you have to invest a lot, it's illegal. If you can see, all those refer to a limiting belief about network marketing. So it would be very, very hard to have a specific answer for each objection, okay? But if we know that each objection is either on this side, on a limiting belief about ourselves, or on the other side, on the limiting belief about network marketing, we can use three general concepts for those objections. And this is what I want to share with you today. I don't know if this will work for you or not, but I do encourage you to do this, to practice this. If it works, great, keep doing it. If it doesn't work, okay, go ahead and change your strategies, okay? Number one, the feel, felt, and found, okay? And maybe you have heard about it. I think that the most you empathize with people, okay, the more you allow to build a bridge, okay, between you and that person. So let's give the example about money. When people say, okay, I like everything you're saying, I would really like to do the business with you, but I don't have money. What if you say, okay, I know exactly how you feel. I felt the same way, but look what I found now. And you share your own experience, your own story, okay? That person will, I'm certainly that she or he will feel okay, because you understand, because someday, sometime you felt the same way, okay? And that is empathizing with the person. Number two, ask questions, okay? Know more about that person. Let's figure out what she or he really wants for her or his life, okay? Don't try to win. Using the same example about money, if he or she says, I don't have money, don't ever say, no, you do have money. I know you have a lot of money. I know your parents can help you. I know your husband is working hard, so ask him for the money. Don't ever do that, okay? Because if you try to win, okay, you're not getting anything. Just ask for clarity. Instead of trying to fight and win to that person, what if you say, okay, but if you really want to do this business, what do you think we can do? I want to help you. Do you think you can ask your parents for the money and maybe you can pay it back in 15 days? I'm going to show you how to get your investment back so you can pay your parents. Try to give solutions, okay? But do not try to win. And number three, stories. Always connect your prospects to a real story. It can be your own or someone else's, Okay, depends on what you're talking about. Depends on what the objection is, what the problem is. The most important thing is that that person feels you really care about him or her. Okay, if they just feel like you're trying to sell something, they're going to say no. But if they really can feel that you care about them and their family and their lives, okay, both of you together, you're going to find a solution. I'm sure about it, okay? I've gone through it. I do it all the time. I try to empathize with my prospects, and they really feel great. I love when Ryan and David, they say this all the time. People can forget about the information. They won't remember the name of the products. Maybe they won't even understand our payment program, okay? But they will always remember how they feel, how you make them feel. So that's very, very important. When you're facing these objections, just think about this. It's all about them, and it's not about you. Okay? Hope you really enjoy this moment. Thank you very much for being here today. Okay? Have a wonderful weekend, and thank you. Thank you very much, ACTIVZ, for giving us this great, great opportunity.
Susana, that was fantastic. Que fantastico. Wow. Okay. Again, I've got my snapshots. I hope that you have taken down your notes in whatever way that you feel comfortable. If that's just a snapshot from your phone, your laptop, if it's literally writing it out, if that's how you take your notes, get it down. This is the stuff that we're here for. This is some of the best stuff that I've heard to this point in my time here at ACTIVZ. So I feel like it gets better and better each time. So I'm going to shut up. I'm being a fanboy. So I'll try and get back on track here. All right. Now, we have gotten 2 fantastic speakers this far. We still have 1 more to go. In order to fully introduce this next speaker, I want to pass it back over to David to offer an introduction for this incredible individual. David?
Great job, everybody. Karen and Susanna, you both were great. I'm taking notes myself, and it's just been wonderful. When Dale introduced Susanna as being wild and crazy, I'm like, I'm not sure I've seen the wild and crazy side of Susanna, but probably Claudina and other ones have some stories that they could share about that. We'll have to find that out on another call, but it was great. Well, Admiral Winter is used to being in some tough spots, but presentations to follow, but I'm sure that he's up to the task. Whether it's been as the head of the Office of Naval Research or the head of a strike, the F-23 or F-35, I should say, strike fighter force. He's been in difficult situations before. He's a graduate of Notre Dame, and perhaps he introduces himself the best, though, as being a friend of Karen Toth and now a friend of ACTIVZ. So with no further ado, I'd like to turn the time over to Admiral Matt Winter to share his thoughts and feelings about some of the things that he's maybe heard about today, but other things during his time at ACTIVZ. Admiral Matt, go ahead.
Thank you very much, David. Can I get a hands up? Can people hear me okay? All right. Well, first of all,
yes, go ahead.
First of all, I want to say thanks for this great opportunity. What a great forum, the ACTIVZ School. What a great idea and an initiative to bring people together to exchange information, right? It's not about one way, it's about two-way, and in this case, multi-way information exchange. And I will say, Susanna, phenomenal presentation. Karen, excellent, phenomenal presentation, good information. Like Dale, I'm hitting print screen here and generating a lot of products to look at a little later. Unlike Karen and Susanna, I do not have any presentation other than some dialogue. And I offer you that as an opportunity to sit back and think and listen, think, and connect what I'm going to talk about into your own personal and professional lives. 2021, as I say, is a great new year already, as we compare it not only to 2020, but perhaps to those years past. Why? Because it's new. And what I'd like to do today is share with you some personal experiences, lessons learned, and best practices of what a new start is all about, and how you can take these best practices and apply them to your ACTIVZ business, as well as to your personal lives. Over my 35-year career in the Navy, I've led teams as small as 5 all the way up to 100 to 200,000 people. And being able to bring together that, holding them accountable and yourself accountable for outcomes, it really became a profession of mine, an advocacy of profession to do it better each and every time. A little over 2 years ago, when I was approached by Karen and then by David about the ACTIVZ family and mission, I was, such as Susanna stated there under network marketing, I was skeptical. Skeptical on the business side, but I was a 100% advocate, as each and every one of you should be. And if you're not, we're in school, so you should take some homework to go truly dig into the science of the product. As David mentioned, I was the chief of naval research several years ago, so the mad scientists of our US Navy and Marine Corps, and understanding the true science of the products, to include the Line and now Aero, is very important, and was important to me to gain the trust, the understanding, and the advocacy that then I led and lend my expertise to the ACTIVZ team through the advisory board. And it's been fun, right? Really shouldn't do things if it's not fun, in my mind. There's things that are hard and tedious that you have to do, but at the end of the day, you should be finding the fun in life. And I find that in ACTIVZ every day. So think about new starts. We usually in January, or maybe some people that are active, do it in December. You set out a bunch of resolutions, New Year resolutions. I recommend, and personally, I don't do resolutions. That word sounds too scripted and too absolute. Using the word goal gives you an opportunity to say, I'm going to put something on the horizon that every day I'm going to make progress to reach that point on the horizon. It gives you an opportunity to fail, pick yourself up, and keep moving forward, versus always, every day, thinking about that resolution end state and realizing you're not there yet and feeling defeated, or at least feeling that you're not accomplishing something. So think about your goals. Think about your personal and professional goals for this new year, 2021. And think it through the lens of your internal communication. In all of my commands, in all of the challenges, objections for Susanna's discussion, I use that to be barriers and challenges. There's opportunities, right? But the enabling element for all that success is communication. We almost always talk past each other when we're trying to tackle a problem. And in this case, when you're sitting down with a new prospect on your 8th or 9th time on touches, follow-ups, make sure you're listening. Listening and understanding, right? Not talking and projecting. This has been such a phenomenal double speaker here with Karen and Susanna. Take those to heart. My mom always talked to me. She was an English teacher. She would say TTLL. I go, so when you're talking, you're teaching. When you're listening, you're learning, right? And so it's important that in that engagement, you're learning. And you might think that in the military and the Department of Defense and my US Navy career as an admiral, I stand up and I give mandated direction. Actually, no. To be successful as a leader, you need to listen. Now, you have to come prepared and you need to provide advice, guidance, strategy, challenge, as well as give opportunities. And throughout my career, I've perfected that in my mind. And I've had success based upon a 3-pillar strategy. And I submit to you that 3-pillar of people, organization, and mission is applicable to not just military organizations, to businesses, to communities, to your own home and your household and your ACTIVZ business. People, do you have the right skill sets? Are you perfecting the skill sets of communication, finance, leadership? Are you understanding the other people on your team? Do you need to help mature and help them learn? Have them come to the ACTIVZ school. So think about the people pillar in your personal and professional life. Do you have the right people with the right skills and the right jobs? Or do you have plumbers doing carpenter jobs, right? It's you as a leader have a responsibility to align those skill sets. And that means internally as well. And then in that same light, are you holding yourself accountable for the outcomes that the skills bring together? As you shift over to that organizational pillar, I would look through my commands and I would look through my teams and I would ask, how are we doing the business of our mission? And normally everybody's doing the day-to-day activities and executing based upon what they've always done. They've always done something one way. They've always done email followed by a spreadsheet, followed by a PowerPoint, followed by a brief. I challenge people, especially in the new start, to look at the way you do things. I mean, it could be the way you empty the dishwasher. One of the things I do at the beginning of every year, I move my furniture around in my house. Now that might sound trivial and infantile, but it gives me a different optic for the rest of the year. And I didn't have to go to the furniture store and buy anything new, all right? So what are the things in your organizational execution of the way you do things to include communications, to include leadership and engagement with your family, with your neighbors, your community, and your ACTIVZ team in this case? All of that's important. Why? As you've heard Karen and Susanna say, the people and the way you engage will make you successful in your mission. Too many times I watch people jump into a new start and they jump right into the mission and they are expecting to get across the finish line right away without putting in the appropriate diligence, learning, and engagement in the people and organizational elements. So, and over a lifetime, over 35 years, I've been able to watch that. I've watched people professionally and personally grow to be able to inspire a human being to do things that they didn't think they could do. And then they have fun doing it with their own self-satisfaction. And it's not by direction, it's by true listening, learning, and inspiration. I bring that all together in that new start. Think about new starts in your life right now. You may be, from an ACTIVZ perspective, you may be thinking about your new start for business of 2021. Well, what does that mean? Write it down. Write down the goals and quantify those goals. But make them goals that you want to achieve in a future time frame. And in that, then you can sit back and talk about the inch stones. I talk to people about achieving their end state, their goals, not by thinking about, I want to lose 20 pounds by the end of the year. And all they think about every day is about losing 20 pounds. And they look at the scale and they don't, and they give up, right? Well, if you think about not losing 20 pounds, but eating one less ice cream a week, cutting down on alcohol, buying better food once a week. Think about the enabling activities that will eventually manifest itself into losing weight. And then be ready to fail. I mean, you look at me and people say, oh, 3-star admiral, and you have it all together, everything's fine. I'm a human being. I got weaknesses. I got seams issues. But I don't let them manifest and drive my life. I embrace the volatility, uncertainty, and complexity of it. I say, okay, Matt, how can you be better today? And at the very essence of a new start, it's every day. I wake up in the morning and I say, how am I going to make a difference today? Matt, how are you going to be a force for good in this world, personally and professionally? I encourage each of you, look at the way that you operate and the way you are today, and give yourself a pat on the back that you're here, that you've taken the time and accepted the challenge of an ACTIVZ business career, but also on how it will help you and help your family and your personal life in a 4-pillar, I'll give you 4 pillars of focus. How can you be better mentally, physically, spiritually, and financially? Because that's the way I do. I get asked the questions, all right, you talk a lot about goals and new starts. What are yours, Matt? Well, I sit back and I establish those goals and I put them in 1, 3, 5, and 10 years in a spreadsheet. Yes, I actually do that. But what that allows me to do then is to look at those goals. One of my financial goals, for example, was to get out of 100% of my short-term debt. You sit there and you go, well, okay, yeah, we all want to pay our credit cards off. We all want to pay our loans off. We all want to do. Yeah, back to Susanna's discussion about you're having a conversation with yourself. So listen to yourself. Don't just talk about the negatives and try to win, but listen to yourself. And then convince yourself that you can do it. Mentally, learning, always be learning. Thinking about how you can continue to have the brain synapses going back and forth to generate the thinking that'll help you be successful. Part of that, Link, for example, Link is a proven supplement that generates the gut to brain interaction. When I was the chief of naval research, we perfected that science for our special warfare operators so that they could have increased cognitive awareness in very high stressful environments, right? And when we talk about high stress environments, you have the same, right? Never compare somebody else's high stress environment to yours. Everybody has stress in their life, right? How you deal with it and how you work with it and how you help it actually enable, right, success is a wonderful thing. I take my insecurities, I take my anxiety, and I take my stress. And instead of looking at them as negatives, I look at what's actually feeding them and I bring them together and I say, okay, Matt, it's time to tackle that 3-headed dragon and let's be successful, right? So think across those 4 pillars. What are the mental, physical, spiritual, and financial goals you want to achieve a year from now? So when we're sitting here on January 16th, 2022, and I ask you the question, did you achieve your goals? I expect about a 60% yes, about 40% no. That's the average. For those that look at everybody else and say, oh, everybody that outside of me always achieves their goal. They're always happy. They always are making success. Know that that's not true. What's true is we're all human and we all have opportunity to succeed. When you sit down and think about your ACTIVZ goals, think of it in terms of your ability to make you and your family able to achieve your personal goals, right? Connect them together. The old adage of you want to work to live, right? You don't want to live to work. And those that are using ACTIVZ as an augmenting supplemental income to a full-time job outside the house or inside the house, or those that are full-time ACTIVZ, this applies. I have used inch stones and the incremental progress over perfection model in my own life. And I've advocated that across lots of different groups. And individuals can interpret and implement differently, and you need to, because each and every one of you that I see here on this matrix is different. But you come together with a common purpose, ACTIVZ, a common understanding of wanting to be better in your life, and a common purpose to help each other. Each and every one of you out there can help each other, and you should feel very confident that you can reach out and do that, okay? As you think about that fresh perspective and really wanting to make real change, right? Real change, not just, okay, I tried and I gave up, right? When you're feeling like you're in that tipping point, you need to reach out. And if you need to reach out to yourself and talk to yourself, that's okay, but reach out. Have the conversation. Understand the challenges and the barriers, those objections that are preventing you from achieving your inch stones to your goals, right? One of the stories I use is when I was in high school, and back then, way back then, some of you probably weren't even born. We were still, we ran in the English, not metrics, but miles and 2 miles. And my high school track coach looked at me and said, "Matt, you're going to be a great 2 mile runner." And I asked Coach, "Why do you say that?" He says, "Because I have no 2 mile runners and I need one." And so you sit there, you go, okay, so there's motivation right in front of your face, right? So I loved running. I still love running. But I had a mental objection. I had a barrier. I got on that track. And I remember the first time in a race, coming around the first lap, you have to do 8 laps for 2 miles. I came around that first, and they had somebody standing there with a sign, number of laps to go. And it said 7. And I went, man, I'm tired already. And I got 7 more to go. I realized if I was going to be a successful 2 mile runner, I got to change this, because the body was willing, the mind was the barrier. So what did I do? I didn't even know I was doing this, but I sat down and I said, let's take each lap individually. Instead of looking and saying, I got 8 to go. Like, hey, I want to lose 20 pounds. Instead of looking and saying, oh, I got 20 pounds, 20 pounds, 20 pounds, I'm never going to do it, I'm done. I went, instead of saying I got 8 laps, I got 7 laps, I got 6, I sat there and said, each lap I want to be 1 second faster. So all I'm going to focus on is how fast I ran that lap. And I found that allowed me to achieve something I had never done before, which was less than a 10 minute 2 mile, which is less than 5 minute mile for 2 miles. And I sat back. Now, at my age today, I'm not going to try that. However, I look back on that and I look at the construct, the thinking, the motivation, the inch stones of progress, instead of trying to be perfect. Take that story and look into your own personal experiences and see where you're trying to accomplish something, and though you've got it on the horizon, you're only looking on the horizon and you're missing opportunity for the successful progress. Look behind you and see, I made progress. It's important. Self-motivation is your best asset. As Karen will tell you, I'm trying to write a book. You know, writing a book's not that easy, but it's not that hard. And the title is Who Motivates the Motivator? And a reflection of a naval officer. Because every morning when I get up, before my feet hit the deck, I pray to God and I ask myself, how am I going to make a difference? And hey, you need to motivate yourself. And then when my head hits the pillow, I say, did I make a difference today? How are you holding yourself accountable for your daily outcome in the terms and the conditions and the environments that you're in, right? I'm excited about ACTIVZ. I'm excited about this new year. I'm excited about the growth and the progress that this company has made. And when I say this company, right, when you really zoom in on the ACTIVZ company, it's not a monolithic organizational element. It's you. It's each and every one of you and all of our distributors and all of our customers. It's exciting that you are interconnected to literally thousands and thousands of human beings together. And that motivates me as an advisor to David and the team on how we can do better technical, better business, better operations, how we can motivate and inspire our workforce to truly get that extra 20 to 30% outcome and to have fun and be satisfied, not content, but satisfied with your progress as you move forward. So, ladies and gentlemen, I'll sort of wrap up with, remember, 2021 is not 2020, right? But I also do say that when 2020 becomes 2021, it's your opportunity for a new start. Think about how you're going to take advantage of the challenges and objections and barriers and turn them into progress, opportunities, and success. So again, David, thank you. Dale, thank you, team, for the opportunity to share some of my experiences. I'm excited to be part of this team. You should be too. I look forward to watching your progress and success and hopefully meeting together face-to-face sometime in 2021. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.
All right. Yeah. Give him some love. Show some hands. That was fantastic. Matt, thank you so much. And thank you for your service as well. Man, I've been fed. I don't know about you guys. I'm definitely contemplative. But I want to toss it back over to David for some closing remarks. I'll share some thoughts, and then we're going to have some fun. So for now, we'll toss it to David.
Wow, that makes it sound like you're not going to have any fun with me. So, okay, just bear with me until you get to the fun part. Thanks, Dale. I appreciate that. No, I'm just kidding. As Angie and others who have known me for a long time know, I'm not the overly sensitive type, so that's okay. But I want to thank everybody, and I guess ask a question. You know, we've been, as Dale said, well fed. We've had great topics of great application. The question I would pose is, now what? What do we do with this stuff, right? And I think that the answers are actually contained in the topics. Number one, I think we need to follow up. What does that mean? Follow up with what we just learned today, right? Let's put it into practice. I was in terms of objections and handling objections, it was actually very interesting to me to see how Susanna actually introduced one of her sections as though there might be some objections to what she's saying. She said something like, I don't know if this is going to work for you. Well, isn't that interesting? So she was empathizing and dealing with anticipated objections to even those of us who were on the call to see if we were going to listen and accept what she was talking about. And of course, with with Matt, I love the progress over perfection. It reminds me of what Sinead said last night, that when she works with clients and who are trying to make differences in their health, they start where they are, not where they want to be. And so it's, in fact, many of the things that Matt was talking about, I don't know about you, but it sounded very similar to some of the things that Sinead was talking about last night. Those two could go together and start their own business on counseling as well. But it really is good stuff. I literally have, this is my first page of notes. I have others and things that I need to work on as well. And I've been part of these type of schools and academies for many years now. And the topics have always been pretty much the same. Why? Because as Matt says, we're all pretty much the same. And we deal with the same experiences every day. And so all of these topics are always timely, no matter when we listen to them. But things have changed in our own lives since then. And our ability and our receptivity to these topics might be different than they were when we heard the same topic discussed a year ago or 5 years ago or whatever. So I heartily recommend and endorse everything that was discussed today. I think that I would add a couple of additional words of encouragement. Remember, all of you were just like those people that you reach out to every day. You had your own objections. You didn't accept it right out of the gate. Probably you had people that followed up with you, and you didn't take offense. You finally said, okay, fine. And remember, the people that you are surrounded by that are within your area of influence are probably a lot like you, or they wouldn't be your friends. So things that wouldn't offend you, if people were following up or handling an objection, probably won't offend them. And I think that we can take that as some encouragement. And remember, I totally agree in terms of the self-motivation that Matt was talking about, but we have an additional weapon in our arsenal. Sorry for that military metaphor, Admiral, but we have the group to go along with us. And when he was talking about the leadership and recognizing what we have and the strengths, one of the very biggest and strongest strengths. Can you say strongest strengths? I'm not sure that really makes sense. Dale's our English expert here. But one of our greatest strengths, of course, is not only our individual motivation and our individual goals, but the ability to tie into the group. And when we're feeling a little bit down, to realize that there are others out there who are doing well, we can tie into them, and we can use their battery power for a while if ours seems to be a little bit diminished. And I encourage us all to do that. Well, I don't think I can really add anything to what's been said. It's been great. I look forward to everyone implementing the things that have been taught and discussed today. I have every confidence in the world that as you do, you're going to see that you're going to be accomplishing your goals. I think, did you say inch stones? Is that how you said it, Matt? I really like that. As he was talking about the 2 mile, that brought back high school memories. And then the same thing, 2 miles, are you kidding me? 8 times around this track? You got to be kidding me. And yet you understand that an inch, a yard, 10 yards at a time, you can make it. And that's great advice for every endeavor we seek to embark upon. And so I'm looking forward to great things coming out as we apply these things. So thanks, everybody. It's been great to be part of this school. It certainly was educational for me. Thanks for participation. In my experience, when I'm asked to participate on things like this, I usually find out as a presenter that I learn as much or maybe even more than those who are listening to me. And I'm sure that Karen and Susanna and Matt, although they're very accomplished in the things that they talked about, I'm sure that not only did they overcome their own concerns and worries about how their message might be received, but it reinforced those topics in their own minds. And I'm especially grateful for Susanna in doing it in English. I know that sometimes, doing those things in another language is not always easy. Her English is perfect. I mean, a lot better than when I go to Japan and speak to our distributors there. It's a lot more painful on their ears to listen to me speak Japanese than it is for us to listen to her English. So that was great. And so I really appreciate that. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. I look forward to talking with you next week. And Dale, back to you for the fun stuff, the really fun stuff. So you can bring us home, buddy.
Yeah, this is the real reason why we're here. No, this has been fantastic. I'm sure every one of us can agree that we are going to be leaving inspired. We're ready to go. We're excited. I mean, hearing everyone, it kind of reminded me of something that happened a couple days ago with me and my son. My son is 2. He's a firstborn, so you can kind of imagine the little dynamic that he and I have. I'm a firstborn. He's a firstborn. We're both guys, so sometimes this happens. But there are times when my son makes a mistake and I kind of am not really sure how to deal with that because I'm kind of a perfectionist too. He spilled something, scattered it across the kitchen table, and the entire time I'm just trying to coach him and say, look, yeah, it's inconvenient. Yeah, it's a mess. It's okay. The entire time, all he's doing is just looking down. Okay. And I'm like, no, it's not that big of a deal. Don't sweat it. This is relevant. Sorry. I think that a lot of times as we work in actives and as we do these different things within network marketing, that we find ourselves in both of those positions as the parent that's trying to coach and inspire, and as the little kid who's just trying to figure things out and is trying to see what he can do to improve. I think that the most successful people are not the ones that debate who they are going to be that day. Am I going to be the one that learns, or am I going to be the one that mentors? I think that the ones that are the most successful are the ones that are both, and that can acknowledge that they are both. They are constantly learning and they are constantly teaching, constantly speaking to those that are around them and that work with them. That's what I see when I hear you guys talk. It's what I see with my kids, with myself. And I think that as long as we have that in mind, we'll be okay. We're going to have great success in our personal and in our professional aspirations. Again, thank you so much. You know what? I think it's enough chit chat. I want to thank you again for attending today. Don't go anywhere though. Stay around because we're going to be doing some giveaways. We want to remind you that if you're having issues with your audio or video on these calls, text the group chat here. It should be at the bottom toolbar for those that are on a laptop. If you swipe left and right on your phone, you should also be able to see that text group. We're here to help one another. And if someone isn't getting the full message or can't hear or can't see the presentation as they want to, look at this. We have about 40 people on this call that are listening and being inspired that want to help you feel the same. So reach out if you have any sort of technical difficulties. To bring to close today, we are going to be giving away not one, but 2 30-day supply of Arrow. Now, if you're excited for that, show some love, get ready for this. I want to bring Angie back on with me so we can do this together. Angie is going to show us the Wheel of Fortune. I don't know what to call this. I really don't know what to call this.
We're going to call it the Wheel of Names.
Wheel of Names. Perfect.
Wheel of Names. Griselda, I have your name on there. Yes, yes.
So we have been looking and watching from the beginning of the meeting who has come into attendance. And we do have a little cutoff to make sure that it's fair. But those that have been here early on in the presentation and who have stuck around will be winning one of these 2 30-day supplies of Arrow. So Angie, whenever you're ready, let's bring that up and we can get the winning going.
Okay, so we have everyone's name in here, and we just went by attendees. So we have everyone's name. We're going to do 2 raffles, like Dale said. So here we go. We're going to do the first one. Still on the call, so we're going to remove Trish's name, and we're going to do one more. Okay, here we go. Winners. So Trisha and Aaron, we will get you a 30-day sample of Arrow sent out to you. So this is before it becomes available in the US. We've said this before, but we are getting Arrow mid-February in the US. So be looking out for that. And if you guys missed the medical forum last night with Sinead and David, be sure we're going to get it posted to our app and also to YouTube. So watch out for the recording so that you can listen to that. There was amazing information from both David and Sinead. So thank you to our speakers today, Karen, Susanna, and Vice Admiral Matt Winter. We appreciate you all joining, and we will see you guys next week.
Fantastic. Love you all. Have a